This is Motorsport Radio.
1, 2.
Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.
Hey up and welcome. It's the Superbike Show. We're back and this is Motorsport Radio. We are live this evening. Hello, good evening and welcome. Jay King back on the show again. How are you?
Absolutely mega, Lester. Bonjour to you. A brilliant Phillip Island MotoGP round. I didn't manage to stay up all night and watch it, so I'm looking forward to talking all about it now, but I did watch it when I did wake up in the morning.
Very good. We'll get on to talking about MotoGP. Lots to talk about this evening on the show, including Moto3, Moto2, and Jay's favourite rider crashing out on the first lap.
Oh, yes.
We'll get on to...
2 rounds in a row now.
Yeah, all right. His invitation to come on the show is still open, by the way, Mr. Lopez Alonso.
Lopez.
Yeah, whatever you need.
He won't have a lot to talk about. He never makes it past the first corner.
And Lewis is back as well. Lewis Ray. Hello. Good evening, Lewis. How was your weekend?
Very good. I did manage to stay up for this round. I'm ready to go again this weekend. Also got a fresh tub of ice cream to watch the Grand Prix last weekend.
Cool. What was it?
Just salted caramel. It was nothing that... Yeah, well, it's a bit judgmental. But yeah, it wasn't anything that exciting.
Fair enough. Okay.
You don't pay us enough for Ben and Jerry's.
It was Häagen-Dazs, actually.
Haggis flavoured ice cream.
Häagen-Dazs.
I bet you would.
Oh yeah, I would. I would just try it.
Anyway, so amongst MotoGP chat and your comments in the comments box below this evening, we are going to talk to Mr. Sullivan Mounsey, the runner-up in the R&G British Talent Cup this year in BSB. Why? Well, because he's got an announcement to make. We're going to find out what that is when he comes on in about 20 minutes' time. So stay tuned for that. Ooh, what could it possibly be with... I don't know. I'll let him tell you. Anyway, I think I know, but I don't want to say anything for once. So anyway, yeah. So, right. Main news then, Lewis. What's been going on?
Well, once again, the day after the show last week, news was announced with Andrea Iannone announced that he will race World Superbikes next season at Go 11 Ducati. It's something which we have discussed previously in the show, but now it's official. And as well, the BSB Superstock cheatgate is continuing with race 2 being investigated by the stewards to understand what's exactly going on. We'll go through that later on. In MotoGP, they were raced at Phillip Island at the weekend of Johan Zarco finally winning a Grand Prix in his first since 2016. And Francesco Bagnaia, he finished second in the race, allowing him to stretch the championship lead from Jorge Martin, who finished 5th. Fabio Di Giannantonio also was on the podium for the first time in his MotoGP career in 3rd position, with the sprint race being called off after the main race was moved to the Saturday at the weekend due to bad weather. In Moto2, Pedro Acosta crashed out on the sighting lap and had to start from the back of the grid with his championship rival. Tony Arbolino taking the race win in that one, while in Moto3, Dennis Ontren took his 3rd race win of the season, with sadly Scott Ogden not being able to make the race. And as well as weekend, MotoGP heads to Thailand with World Superbikes racing at the final round of the season in Jerez.
Wow, a lot to get through, Lewis.
Yeah.
And Jay, and we've also got Sullivan Mounsey coming on as well. He might want to offer his thoughts and opinions. He doesn't have to if he doesn't want it, but maybe see what he makes of the current shenanigans going on in MotoGP and World Superbikes coming up this weekend. Where are they this weekend again?
Thailand and Jerez.
Jerez, that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, a lot to talk about. So, having watched eventually, Jay, the Grand Prix on the Saturday. Well, it would
have been our Friday night.
Well, Saturday morning.
It was definitely Saturday morning. I remember because I actually watched it. Did you stay
and watch it, Lester?
That's exactly what I did. No, I actually woke up. Is this why
your body clock is all over the place at the moment?
Whoa. So attacked here. So, yeah, I did actually watch the Grand Prix live in full for once, which was good. So what did you make of it anyway, Jay? Before you tell us, I did think this was, now I know you don't believe me on this, but I did think this was going to be the race where Zarco actually won. And I did think that.
Jesus.
I did think
you should have said that last week.
Just because I don't say it on the show doesn't mean that I don't think a load of crap. You know.
Yeah.
I save all the best crap for the shows. But what did you think?
It was, or should I say, it was a bit of an odd race. It wasn't really an odd race. It was just how Martin just went completely the opposite tyre decision to everyone else and just absolutely cleared off for probably, I'd say, 3/4 of the race. And then probably the last 5 laps was slowly losing a little bit. And if the race was 1 lap shorter, that soft tyre decision would have been an excellent decision. But on that last lap, he just plummeted like a stone. And I think there were 4 behind. So it was, I'm trying to think now. So we had Digi, obviously Zarco, Pecco, and Brad Binder.
Yeah.
All passed him on the final lap. And he got demoted to 5th. So it was an odd tyre decision, but it was also very close to being an excellent tyre decision. But I think we all agree we were really happy to see Zarco finally win. He's come so close so many times. I do remember his first ever MotoGP on the Tech 3 bike. He was actually leading that at Qatar in the dark, and he actually binned it. So he could have won his first ever MotoGP in his first race, but it has taken all these years to do it. And I was very pleased for him to see him finally do it, because going to Honda next season, these last few race meetings will probably be his last chance to do it, because I think he, unless we have a downpour race, there's probably not a lot of chance of him winning on a Honda at the moment.
Well, it was a bit of a slow burner. A bit of a slow one to get going, and he did. I think the TNT commentators did predict that all the action would happen towards the end of the race, and that's exactly what did happen, isn't it, Lewis?
Yeah, it is. It was all because of that tyre choice. Obviously, there's only, I think, 3 riders that went on that soft rear in the end, and it looked to be the right choice. I mean, the pace he had on the first 3/4 of the race, as Jay said, but obviously at Phillip Island, it's so easy to destroy the tyres. And then with 5 laps remaining, everyone just started gaining. It was actually Zarco which pushed his teammate ever so slightly wide at the, well, I'll say newly named, the corner that was named Miller Corner last year. Pushed him wide, and they allowed basically everyone through, and he could do absolutely nothing from there. Ended up being the second off the race win in the finish up, so he was losing well over a second a lap anyway as it was. So yeah, great to see Zarco win his first race win since 2016 at Valencia for the final round of the Moto2 World Championship. So great seeing him finally on the top step of the podium. Once again, as Jay said, he has had, to be honest, plenty of opportunities for him to get that race win previously, especially on the Tech 3 Yamaha days. I remember in Le Mans as well, he ended up crashing out of that one, and then out of the race lead, or out of contention for the race lead as well. He's had plenty of second places on that bike as well. And then obviously the half a season on the KTM before going to the Avintia Ducati. So he's had a tough time in MotoGP, has Zarco. So yeah, I think nobody was upset to see him take his race win. And Bagnaia claiming second place as well. Completely new dynamic into the mix. Now Martin really needs to push in these final 4 rounds of the championship to try and close that gap that has been increased significantly by Bagnaia finishing second, and D'Antonio as well. Wow, I mean, for him to get 3rd position, 4th was already impressive enough. Now to get 3rd, it seems like as well they've flipped that bike upside down and actually started to listen to exactly what D'Antonio wanted to do rather than what all the other riders did on the Ducati. Now it's finally starting to work. So yeah, hopefully this could save D'Antonio's Grand Prix career. Hopefully someone's going to look at him and want to get him perhaps an RNF or Aprilia. We're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, a great Grand Prix and one of the happiest podiums I've seen in a long, long time. Nobody was disappointed with that.
Yeah, it was definitely a good, like you say, a good podium, and that's always good. It makes you feel good, especially when you've invested the time, Jay, to stay up all night like some people did.
I totally forgot why I didn't try and stay up Saturday night to watch it. I think because the reason I went to bed is because
you were tired.
I knew that the race wasn't going to be on till like 4:30 in the morning, so I kind of give up So, yeah, I think that was the reason why I didn't bother. Where if it had been qualifying, then the sprint like it should have been, then I would have stayed up because I could have watched it all. But because there was going to be pretty much not a lot happening until the sprint race, I gave in. So, yeah. I did try and stay up Sunday, though, but I didn't last long. I got halfway through Moto3 and give up.
Well, yeah, that was... it was a bit of a
topsy-turvy weekend.
Yeah, well, with Dorna, I suppose, already announcing that... not Dorna, well, the actual event officials, including Dorna as well, they knew that bad weather was coming in, so they eventually took the correct decision, and everyone was in agreement that it was the correct decision to move the main race to Saturday and move the sprint race to Sunday, because if it needs to get cancelled, then no one really cares about the sprint anyway. Sorry, but they don't. But on the Sunday, it seemed like a bit of a strange decision, knowing that all the bad weather was coming in, to go out and do warm-up, because they could have spent that time racing.
I think they just kind of like, well, we're going to... I think they kind of knew from probably Saturday night onwards they weren't going to get that sprint race in, but they have to have put their fingers crossed, and maybe the gods will change the weather. But yeah, you could kind of tell that even in that Moto2 race, they were kind of trying to drag it out as long as they could to make it look like a respectable result and not just have a 3-lap race. It probably did go on a bit too long, that Moto2 race. There were a lot of crashes.
All the stuff happened in like the first 2 laps, though. All the stuff that could have warranted a red flag, for example. That was, yeah.
But I think all in all, Dorna did a really good job to be able to get, shall we say, 2.5 races in. So yeah, fair play to them. I think the decision to put it on the Saturday was a really good one. So at least the fans got to see the main race. And yeah, Moto3 got in, and like I said, half of the Moto2 guys. So I think they did well with the what issues they had in front of them with the weather.
Yeah,
they couldn't have done any more. They couldn't have done any more.
Not with GP, I do admit that, but it just seemed like a bit of a wasted amount of time getting warm-up sessions in, when really there may be, and I think towards like BSB, where BSB seemed to be a bit more flexible and adaptable in their schedule. If they know weather's coming in, they might abandon a warm-up session, for example, and just give the riders sort of 3 laps potentially as the warm-up, and then a quick start procedure. I think that might possibly have been better. I don't know. What do you reckon, Lewis? Would that have even been possible?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, especially whenever it comes to the fact that no riders had any wet running that weekend at all. So the first time on the wet tyres and trying to get wet setup properly dialed in at Phillip Island was in the warm-up session. So yeah, that part I can completely understand. But yeah, as you said, there potentially could have been a chance that they could have at least got to 2/3 distance if they did things like quick start procedures. Because, for example, on Moto3 and Moto2, we're still sitting on the grid for 20 minutes before the race even starts, and then that time can be used actually racing and trying to beat the weather and trying to get at least both Moto3 and Moto2 support classes in. But yeah, I mean, they did move the whole schedule on the Sunday, brought forward by an hour as well, so it was even earlier for us in the UK. And one thing I was very grateful for, actually, whenever I was watching it on the Sunday morning, is how quick they were to cancel the sprint and just call it off. I mean, don't get me wrong, they could have waited there for a couple of hours to see if the wind was going to get any better and see if it was going to get raceable, but there was none of that this time around, like we've seen in the past. So yeah, it was just a straight cancellation really after a meeting was held with the team managers. It must have been 20-30 minutes after the race was red flagged. The rest of the day's event was called off as well, and for all the fans who came to watch the MotoGP race just for the Sunday, they also were given a free ticket for the Saturday as well. So yeah, organisers in Dorna did it very, very well considering the circumstances. But yeah, as you mentioned, they're could have been some ways to minimise some wasted time. Certainly, like sitting on the grid and perhaps even reducing the warm-up session and just giving them a couple of laps.
Maybe, who knows? But what do you think? Get in touch with us as we are live this evening. After that again with the echo thing. There we go. So you can't hear that, but done an echo anyway. Sorry, I'm confusing myself here. Right, so let us know what you think. Get in touch and have your say. Was it right? Could they have maybe maximised a bit more time and maybe reduced the race distance for Moto2 and Moto3 and had a bit of a bit of a sprint race, even more of a sprint race, maybe? Who knows?
4 laps.
Well, anything's a sprint race, technically. In fact, it's not even technically a race, is it? Because it's just a sprint.
It's just a sprint.
Yeah. So, hey-ho. Yeah, it's not the end of the world if we miss that. So, going back to one bit of news that I mentioned earlier. We mentioned it on the show last week, but we didn't exactly mention any details regarding it. And that was for a good reason, because there was a post made on Facebook on the Monday after Brands Hatch is going over to BSB now. And it was a somewhat accusatory post by a competing team in the National Superstock Championship.
You can say the team name, Lester. It's all big news now.
Well, it's Lewis's back garden. It's basically his home team, isn't it? So I don't want to... From Dumfries. Yeah, I don't even know what you mean. He might be mates with them. I don't know. So I don't want to cause aggravation in the town. It's so big.
Right.
Say the team name, Lester, for God's sake.
Well, I've actually forgotten the name. But no, I'm just looking at the statement anyway. A statement was issued by the BSB's MCRCB statement, and this came on the Friday, I think it was, and it said the following a receipt of a report from the MCRCB stewards present at Brands Hatch, the final round. The stewards wish to investigate the circumstances of potential irregularities concerning post-race technical control following the Superstock race number 2 on Sunday, the 15th of October. According to under Article A6.3 of the MCRCB Sporting Code 2023, a tribunal, a national court, will be appointed, and the results of that race remain provisional until the completion of this process. A further statement, it said, including the constitution of the tribunal and planned hearing date, will follow in due course. Which means, at my rough calculations, and I could be wrong, if the result of the race is changed, and I think Dan Linfoot did win that race.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he did an extra lap and stuff. But basically, the permutations would be if he was excluded from that race and
he'd lose the championship.
Richard Kerr was promoted into top spot. Yes, I think he'd lose the championship by like 1 point. Now that's a big if, just because there's an investigation into the results, not even the results, but an allegation that was made on Facebook. That doesn't necessarily mean one thing's definitely going to lead to the other. It might just mean that they're just going to check with someone who might have had a conversation in pit lane and turns out to be not what the accusing team thought it would be, and case closed, basically. And Linfoot keeps the championship. But it was still a surprising thing to read on a Friday, just as we were getting ready for MotoGP on a Friday, whenever it was, afternoon, evening, something, whenever I woke up, I saw it. And it caused quite a surprise. Not many people even knew what it was relating to, because they might have missed the original Facebook post.
Does anyone actually know what the cheaty part is on his bike, or allegedly cheaty part on his bike is?
Just say, be very careful if we don't specifically know, and I don't have the original Facebook post in front of me, so I'm not going to attempt to even...
Lewis will know.
I do not know. Officially,
is it something to do with brakes?
That is one thing I have seen online. Yes.
Well, to paraphrase part of the grievance from the team, it was regarding a comment made to or from one of the senior tech people at the end of race 2, and the time limit had passed apparently for them to make an official protest.
That's why Dan did an extra lap, is because he was dragging it out, you see.
So anyway, this was made public on Facebook, and it was quickly taken down after 24 hours. Quickly taken
not
down.
Even that.
But screenshots remain of it, and you can still find them somewhere if you look close enough. And I think maybe they're just looking into those comments about potential comments rather than any investigation on the bike itself, which I understand might have been carried out at the time. But let's wait and see what happens.
I don't think anything will get done. I think it's too late past now. I think Dan will keep his championship, and that'll be the end of it.
What do you reckon, Lewis?
It's a tricky one. I mean, technically, if they did, for example, interview the person that supposedly made these comments, and then allegedly made these comments, and it found it to be true from that, I guess they would have some sort of evidence that they were cheating. Or surely, I mean, if, for example, it was a part that you could see, surely they can look at some sort of pictures or videos from the weekend that have been taken during the race, if you could see it from the outside of the bike. So yeah, we're just going to have to wait and see. It's a really tricky topic for everyone involved, but it certainly seemed like the team felt like they deserved the championship now, and they weren't happy with the whole situation anyway. So yeah, we're going to have to wait and see what unfolds.
Yeah, I think the win ratio, I don't have it in front of me, the TSL stats here, but I think Dan Linfoot's won a hell of a lot more races.
9.
And
he's run 8 more.
Yeah. So you'd have to sort of say morally he's kind of won the championship, if not actually, because that result of race 2 is provisional at the moment. It's a bit of a sad end to end a championship like that in the courts of, you know, the judges and stuff. But hey ho, if that's how it has to be, I'm sure Dan will take his championship and stand on the steps, just like the end of a movie, celebratory, holding his trophy. Maybe not, I'm carried away, but yes, basically. So we'll have to just wait and see on that one. We'll keep our eye on that for you. But Lewis, good season overall. Just quickly before we just wait for Sullivan to come on. Good season overall for Dan Linfoot, and many would say he kind of deserves it. I know the team who are protesting this are your home team, but still.
Yeah, I guess I would almost be happy every way. But yeah, as we said, Dan Linfoot, what a season it's been for him. 9 race wins, 3 second places, and 1/3 from the season, and only 1 DNF from that wet race at Brands Hatch as well, whenever he slipped out of the race lead. So yeah, it's been a great year for Dan Linfoot. He's won more races than anyone else, actually. The highest 2 riders in race win wise this year was Billy McConnell and Drew Talbot with 2 race wins. So everyone else, 7 race wins ahead is Dan Linfoot. And he's been consistently, for example, at Brands Hatch, there was no beating him in race 2, for example. I mean, Kerr tried his best to catch up onto the back of him. Every single move that Linfoot made, Kerr made as well. And yeah, what an end to the season it was. And certainly it sounded like Linfoot will be looking towards a Superbike ride next season, going by his end of season interview that he did with Eurosport.
Cool. And Jay, your thoughts on the last minute possible dramas in Superstock?
And I think I'm not going to say get blown over, but I've got a feeling that it will just end there. Really, I think it's been too long to really put. Yeah, it's gone now, hasn't it? If they should have found the problem straight after the race, if there was a major problem, that's what the whole point of bikes sitting in the Parc Fermé is for, to to be able to protest these problems, and nothing actually happened at the time. So on another point, obviously that was the sponsorship that Dan had this season was really good, because he got a free hair transplant out of it as well. So he's got a new head of hair as well. So not just won the championship, he's got a new head of hair as well. So I bet Dan's well impressed with that.
Anyway, on that note, we will move on, and I promise to keep you updated on it. Well, I'll promise that Lewis will keep you updated, at least on the website anyway, motorsport.radio. Check it out if you're not already, because it's pretty decent. Right, let's move on and talk more about the junior categories. And this year, in the R&G British Talent Cup, Sullivan Mounsey came within a whisker of winning the championship. He took the fight to Evan Belford. The pair of them taking over the mantle of title challengers from the injured Johnny Garness, and we wish him all the very best and to come back racing very, very soon. But we had Evan Belford and Sullivan Mounsey, amongst others, fighting it out for the championship, and Sullivan did a fantastic job taking it right down to the wire, ending the season with 5 race wins each, ultimately, at the end of it. But yeah, it was fantastic, a phenomenal performance by Sullivan Mounsey. He literally changed his name from Manic Mounsey to Smooth Sully when he started hammering in those wins. And I'm pleased to say that he joins us right now on the Superbike Show once more. Sullivan, hello, good evening.
Hello guys, how are you all doing?
Very well, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us again on the Superbike Show. And as hopefully I did justice to your title challenge campaign. It was, I would say, although the points may not have reflected just how close it was, I was actually looking through TSL earlier, and they've started publishing sort of season performance stats, and it was a big surprise to me, because I didn't actually keep track of it, because when you're in the paddock and doing the thing in the season, you're kind of not really paying too much, I'm not anyway, to all the stats. But Evan didn't actually win a race after Brands Hatch, which was like halfway through the season. It was basically you and other people all the way through.
Yeah, well, he's not always done the best coming towards the end of the season, so it was kind of a repeat of every year that he has done, just not performing at the end of the season. So I kind of knew it was my time to shine, and we were able to be much more consistent with, I'm pretty sure it was almost every round other than Snetterton from Brands Hatch, we actually got a win in at least one race. So it was definitely big steps that we've took over the whole of my whole career. We've never been able to be this consistent before, and this is kind of the change that has evolved so far this year, going from Manic Mounsey to Smooth Sully. So it is just a catchphrase, but I think it's a very vital part of my riding, which has basically got me to where I am today and at this moment in time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you are the kid with the most catchphrases in the paddock, and why not? I mean, if it makes you stand out and gets you a bit more media attention, then I encourage other people to do the same, and it's good for you to show your personality, definitely. It was definitely an entertaining season. We know Jay and Lewis have got loads of questions for you, but there's another reason why you're on the show this evening, because your season isn't quite finished. I won't say any more.
Yes, so I think it's a good time to announce it now. I will be doing a wildcard ride at the last round of the European Talent Cup with the Vision Track racing team, done by Michael Laverty. So I'm really excited for this opportunity, and I can't wait. And it's so awesome. It's a dream come true, even playing as Scott Ogden or Josh Watley on the game, and then actually being able to ride in their junior team in their junior GP junior GP championship in the European Talent Cup category. It's massive, so I can't wait, and we'll have to see what we're able to do. But I hope to do big things and impress everyone.
Well, yeah, I'm sure that's there's no doubt about that you will be sort of putting in a good performance and, like you say, impressing people. This comes hot on the heels of the RedBull Rookies announcement just the other week, when it was announced that you will be joining your nemesis from 2023, Evan Belford, and basically flying the flag for Great Britain in the RedBull Rookies Cup. And I think he's also racing in the final round of at Jerez as well, in ETC or Junior GP. With Vision Track. So am I right in thinking that he will be your teammate for that round?
I guess so. I guess it's gone for rival teammates, so I have to see how it goes. But I'm not 100% sure if he is or not. But if he is, then we'll definitely try and work together and see what we can put out as a team. And I don't have the biggest conversations with him, but it'll be nice. And it's always the same with me. Just be nice, be respectful, and we'll work together as best as we can as a team and try and improve one another. So then even if we aren't teammates for 2023, then we'll at least have a strong bond going into RedBull Rookies. I
can't think of a stronger pairing for that team going into 2024. Just saying, if the team are tuned in. But yeah, good to hear about the announcement. Anyway, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest. But still, yeah, fantastic to hear. Lewis, any questions for Sullivan?
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations on the European TAC Cup ride for the final round of the season at Valencia. And I believe that's just next week's time as well. So, yeah, exciting times ahead. And that's just, as Lester mentioned, coming from the RedBull Rookie Selection event. And, well, talking about RedBull Rookie Selection event, how was that experience? Because obviously we didn't see too much of exactly what went on social media and online throughout the weekend across the social media channels. So what was the event like, and what was the process like to go to the selection event?
Well, I must say it's a fantastic experience. I love it. You get put out there you get put on day one or day two. And then depending on how you do on day one or day two, you then get selected through to day three if they like how you are. Bit of a strange one. We actually didn't get in, if you haven't already heard, we didn't get into day three. We took off on my first day of riding. So it was like, oh my gosh, it's over. The RedBull Rookie dream is over for this year. So I was like, right, let's call the people that are behind me, and I gave them a call straight away, and I was like, it hasn't worked out. That's that. What should we do? Like, we were kind of just left there, like, because on my first year, I got into the last day, day three of the RedBull Rookies selection event. So when I didn't get through, I was kind of shocked, to be honest with you. And then as we was going down, about to start packing up, we then got told, we think there's been an issue with the systems. So it basically turned out that we might actually be in. So I then called it back and was like, we might be in. So it was kind of a very high mixed bag of emotions with all of a sudden, like within a matter of 2 minutes, it was all very low to very high, and then in between and everything. And then we went downstairs and waited patiently, and luckily we did get into the last day, and I was over the moon, like, because of everything that had just happened. I was so happy, and that we even got through to that last day. So it was fantastic to even get through to the last day. And then I was just so excited, really, because I just love riding the selection bikes. So I couldn't wait to ride the KTMs, but even the selection bikes, it's just fantastic process, fantastic bikes, and I just want to go carry on riding them because they're really fun. But I can't wait for the KTMs. But I'll carry on with my story where we were so happy we got it in, and it was a shame that there was a technical error on the system, but at least we finally found out without not getting the opportunity to do day 3. And we went back for day 3, finally actually getting some sleep, because I only was riding on about 3 hours sleep on day 1, just due to me actually losing my passport. Or not losing my passport. My passport was out of date because we've left the EU. You actually now need to be 3 months within the expiration date, and we was 2 months and 5 weeks or something ridiculous, and it was like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? Like, she was like, oh, sorry, we can't let you on the plane. So we actually had to go the opposite way, having everyone walk by. Like, why are these 2 people walking? We spent 2 hours trying to get our bags, and we finally found out that at the Peterborough office, that's where you can get your passport, or an emergency passport, and we've got an emergency interview to try and get a passport for a week's time, and we was able to wriggle it to get it within 1 day. So a massive thank you to all the people at the Portsmouth passport offices. That I wouldn't be in RedBull Rookies.
Wow, didn't know any of this.
No, yeah. This is what's so interesting that you might not always hear. So there's a lot of high emotions, and as we're waiting, we're waiting for the passport. We've finally been told, yes, we could get you a passport maybe by tonight. And as we're waiting for it, it was 4 hours for the passport to be made. And then we saw Evan got into RedBull Rookies, so it was kind of like, we're glad we've done this, we're glad we didn't back down and just go home and hope we got chosen by Dorna, because congratulations to Evan, he did get chosen by Dorna as the Dorna rider to go straight through to RedBull Rookies. So it was kind of like, oh my gosh, we need this now kind of thing. And we was able to do it. We booked a flight for 9 p.m. and got to Alicante, I think it was Alicante, for 11, 12 p.m. and then got to the hotel at 1 a.m. in the morning, and then we couldn't find the keys. The person or the lodge that we were staying at, that we couldn't see anything because it was all pitch black at night, and it was quite scary because it was all birds and like the animals like making noises. So it was like a horror movie all of a sudden. Trying to find some keys in pitch black, and then I saw "Hello Simon," which is my dad, and I was like, oh wow, Dad, it says "Hello Simon, good luck on RedBull Rookies." I was like, this has to be us. And then he gave us instructions. I finally got to bed at about 2 a.m. and then had to get up at 6 a.m. because we had to be there early to get my bib, because we wasn't able to make it the day before to get my bib and do a track walk. So we got there 6 and then was waiting till about 7:30 to then get my bib at about 8 and then try and cram a track walk in. And we did eventually get 3/4 of the track. We just had to miss the last corner, which was a bit of a shame. So it was kind of going in a bit blind into the last corner, especially because I'd never been at a track. So I didn't even get to see the last corner. But no, it probably wouldn't have even been possible if it wasn't for Marlene that worked at the RedBull Rookies cut, and also the RedBull Media House, everyone that works there. Because they've done a massive part of even like helping me find people when some of the guys wasn't there yet at the track, because we was there that early. So it was definitely all rush and go. But I'll carry on with day 3. So we actually went on to day 3 and we got there at a decent time with about 9 hours, 10 hours sleep, because I just went to bed earlier. I was out like a light switch. So it was so nice as well, because the beds are really comfortable. So I knew I was well rested and I was ready to rock for day 3. And I just went out there and just had fun and rode the bikes as best I could, and that's what I done. I think it was obviously good enough, but when I looked down at my watch, it was like I was training and cycling because like my heart rate was at like 170 beats per minute. That's how nervous I was to get in. And then when they called my name up, it was like, this is actually real. I am a RedBull rookie. And it was just so awesome. And I can't wait for that because it was all being filmed. So if it ever gets published, you'll be able to see all the ups and downs that I definitely did have in that selection event. But I'm just so excited to join the Roll of Honour and all the people that have been able to get into the RedBull Rookies and progress through. For instance, Scott Ogden, Eddie O'Shea, that have been the Dorna riders that have been selected and going up and looking like they're on a really strong path up to Moto3 in MotoGP. So I can't wait to start next year and ride at the first round at Jerez. I'm just buzzing, to be honest, even talking about it now. So I think this is a good time to put on the RedBull selection. Yeah. In the selection event, so I'll put that on now. But no, it's definitely so awesome just to even say I'm a part of it. So I can't even wait for next year. And it's so awesome.
Well, yeah, I think everyone in all across the UK, British Talent Cup, Fab Racing, everyone's super happy for you. But going into next season, it's going to be a tricky year, obviously. A lot of new circuits for you, a lot of new challenges while racing abroad. Have you managed to ride in many of the European circuits? Obviously, if I remember correctly, you have rode Valencia during testing this year. At the Ricardo Tormo circuit, but have you managed to ride at many of the circuits that you're going to be racing in next year?
Yeah, so we've done a couple of the tracks. We've done Jerez back in 2020, and then I've done it back at 2022, this time last year in 2022 with Redline Track Days. They've been a really big help and one of my main sponsors this year. So it's been quite helpful. I'd done it all last year, or a couple track days. So track days can sometimes be annoying when you're trying to carry more corner speed, because these Moto3s are a lot more corner speed than they are top speed or punch out the corners. So it's definitely much harder to do faster or try and ride in a group that might not be as fast, just because you're not as fast on the straight. So that's when you lose most of your time. So it's very hard to be able to do lap times on track days, but it was all about learning the tracks and just trying to get a jump. So we've done Jerez, we've done Valencia, as you said, earlier on this year, and we've done Portimao, but we won't actually be riding at Portimao, as Portimao is a lovely circuit. They're all fantastic circuits. The best way to describe it is it's just like a Silverstone circuit, but even better because it's hotter and it's not raining all the time. So
poor Silverstone.
It is I do like Silverstone, I must say, but we did get a win by 23 seconds there, but I must say it's I'm much more looking forward to Mugello, Misano, Austria, the RedBull Ring. It's all going to be an awesome experience. But no, I've done 2 or 3 tracks or 2 tracks of the RedBull Rookie calendar. So it's all about trying to learn the tracks as quick as possible and see how far we can go in the first year. But I'll definitely be aiming high, and whatever comes will come, but it's all about having fun. So that's what I'll be doing.
Yeah, and well, I'll ask you one quick question before I hand it over to Lester and Jay for a little bit. Going into, talking about this season, as you mentioned, for example, at Silverstone, you won by 23 seconds during the British Grand Prix weekend in the wet conditions.
My question here, Lewis.
Well, we'll wait and see. Looking back at this season, what is your highest and your lowest points of the year been? Of course, of second place in the championship, a great year, 5 race wins, some last lap battles, especially against Evan Belford. What would you really say is the highlights and potentially the low points of your year?
That's a tough one. That is. Oh wow, that hasn't you proper put it on me now.
Yeah, put it on the spot.
Yeah, well, no.
Think of the positives.
Yeah.
I do know actually, to be honest. It was, I think one of the main highlights was definitely the first win. That was breaking the bond, and when I kind of hit the realization I am good enough to do this, let's do it. And since that round, I think we didn't get a win at Knockhill, but from Knockhill, it was almost a win at every round other than Snetterton, I'm pretty sure. So it was kind of on a roll, and that's how I love to be, is on a roll. So Donington broke the bond, or broke the curse of not getting the win, and we did get that win, and that has to be one of the main highlights, I think. Then the next one was Brands Hatch, where we wasn't feeling very strong going in, and then by race 1 it was wet, and it kind of just clicked for me. And then race 2 we had just got a ton more pace and just felt so much more comfortable, much more safe, and was able to battle for the podium, and we did end up getting third, all battling for second. And then we went to with them, where did we go to next? I think it was Snetterton, which I didn't have the best of rounds. I had P5 in race 1, as was battling for the podiums, but I just made a mistake high-sided and went off the track. And then race 2, it rained on the grid, and it was all in my head, and I just didn't feel very comfortable. So that was before Brands, I'm pretty sure. So actually I didn't feel very comfortable, and then we went to Brands and kind of broke the bond again and started going back on the streak, and got a win at every round since then. And I have to say, I think Silverstone MotoGP was a big one, because it's at MotoGP and it's a fantastic track, and I think everyone was there, all my sponsors, all of my family, and definitely a lot of my friends, and the people that are mainly involved with me. They're even in the junior paddock, like you may know, Sam Gardner, Finley Pole, Lewis Hull, they're all a big part of our circle. And it was a big one, that one at Silverstone, and then high-siding and nearly crashing.
That's what I was going to talk about.
That was definitely a manic Mounsey corner for sure, but we was able to rein it back in and bring it home, and actually pull 4 seconds within a matter of 2 laps, and cruising. So I was very comfortable, because I came across the line, saw 19 seconds, and then kind of was like, oh, this is awesome, kind of lost full concentration because I saw 19 seconds. Well, that was after I high-sided, and I then kind of gained it back in and relaxed, and took a deep breath, and then brought it home, and that has to be a big one. And I think the next one was Thruxton, because I didn't feel too strong at the start, and then we was just clawing it all back in as it came to qualifying, and then they felt really strong in qualifying. We didn't get pole position, sadly, but it was just gaining it and reining it all back in, but for Thruxton. And then by the race 1, I felt unstoppable, to be honest with you. I feel like we could have pulled away, but if you haven't seen, I actually lost the front with a big black line behind me, just going through the corner before Church, which is flat out, and I just hit a bump and lost the front, and I was like, this is gone. I was like, right, this is a Marc Marquez save moment, and dug my knee and saved it. That's how I lost the second lead within a matter of 1 corner. And then I got overtook by 2 people. I was very ashamed, but it was fantastic still to even save it and then win there. And Alton Park was the same. We was able to get my first pole position. That had to be a highlight, definitely. So I think that was a good round, I must say. And then getting straight from pole position to winning race 1, and I led every lap as well. Sorry, I did forget to mention that I led every lap for the first time at Thruxton when I won that race. So I led every lap and then won the race, which was astonishing for me. And then to be able to do that at Alton Park from pole position as well, my first ever pole position, I was over the moon, I must say. And then race 2, we lost out by a Nats whisker of 0.006 of a second. So it was definitely tight between me and Emmanuel, but there's a little bit of argy-bargy going on. But reviewing it now, I could have made a little difference, which hopefully would have been able to get me that win. But it's how it goes sometimes, and we'll go again for sure. And I think now, sadly, to bring on the negatives of the season, round 1 at Silverstone National, it wasn't my round, to be honest with you. It felt so strong coming from pre-season, felt unstoppable. And then we came in, and I think I kind of applied too much pressure to myself, thinking, let's win, and then kind of just started pushing too hard, which is where we started to realise I need to relax. If you don't remember or haven't seen it, I was running off the track at almost every corner, and it's just not how you need to be. You need to be chilled out, accurate, on point every lap, hitting the markers, and I wasn't doing that. I was like, right, let's try and make as many positions up in one corner and win the race in one corner, and then I was like all the way off the edge of the track and then trying to bring it back, and it was just very erratic of me, and I've learned from that now, and I learned from my mistakes, and I was able to stop doing that by round 2. And I think that it was a shame because I actually ran off the track on the exit of the last corner at Silverstone National, and then done the exact same, and then got caught up in Reece Stevenson's crash. And then in race 2, I had a dreadful race where I just kind of dropped all the way to the back of the pack, and then had to fight my way forwards in race 2, and only got to P5. So that's how it goes sometimes, and it's just basically taking a deep breath, just like I did, and resetting and going again. And that's exactly what we done at Donington, and got my first race win at Donington. So I've learned from my mistakes, and this has to be one of my biggest learning years. So I'm just really, really chuffed with how this season has gone, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and okay, so Jay, have you got any questions?
He kind of answered most of them in that. Talking about the whole season, I was going to talk about the Silverstone. I was there at Silverstone that weekend. You and Evan. I've never seen two people just pull a lead on the rest of the field so quickly. I think you were like 10 seconds ahead of everyone after like 2 laps. But yeah, you obviously, I think you and Evan came together. Was it coming out of the first corner at one point? One rear wheel touched front wheel at one point, I think there was, weren't there?
So Kyle Payne is closing up.
The old term one.
Yeah. I remember. And then you obviously would have seen, you were behind Evan when he went down, weren't you, I believe? Yeah, so you saw that happen. And then I can remember, I think it must have been about a lap later when you nearly high-sided. Was it just loss of concentration? I remember jumping out of my seat at the time, like, because I thought, Sully's won this now. I mean, there's no way anyone's going to catch him. And you nearly wrecked it for yourself. So it was very impressive save, let's put it that way. So I think if it was the MotoGP rules, I think you probably could have got back on it and still been in the lead. But I weren't sure if your rules would have changed where you were allowed to get back on or not.
No, so at MotoGP we was allowed to in practice and qualifying, but for the races you couldn't actually get back on. So if I crashed in the race, I'd have thrown it all away. So luckily I was able to stay on the bike, but it was kind of the lap Evan crashed. It was like as soon as he crashed and I went through that right, everything just skipped. I just skipped a whole lap. It's like I was knocked out. I don't remember. Riding in a whole nother world, and then I came the next lap, and it was like you're playing MotoGP and you just fast forwarded a lap, and then I'm onto the next lap in that corner, and then I've high-sided. Everyone was saying it was a lap later than when he crashed, but I thought it was on like 2 later. But I just remember coming over. I just remember coming over the lines in 19 seconds. There, I thought I high-sided, but apparently not. It was the other way around. So I don't even remember. It's crazy, to be honest with you, but. I came through that corner and it started raining heavier that lap, and that's how I lost the rear, and I was kind of in my own world, and I high-sided, and luckily I've done a lot of crashing and saving and that's something my dad has always taught me, is learn how to crash and learn how to save things. So I always train on really bad tyres, and that's how I've kind of caught the reaction. And I think there's definitely a bit of luck going on there, but there's also a bit of skill.
No, it was a brilliant save. That race must have seemed like, after Evan crashed, and obviously after that near miss moment, it must have seemed like the longest race in the world, because there was no one with how big Silverstone is. It must have felt like you were just going around on your own.
It was counting down the laps, that was for sure. 6, 5, 4.
Were you watching the big screens as you were going around at all?
I had to gauge where I was, but I remember going, where was the screen? There was a massive screen which was so obvious. I think it was coming through when you come out of turn 2 of the new layout.
Yeah.
There was a massive TV on the big mounds, and I was just looking at. I kind of came out of the corner and then just looked up at the mound, and then like saw how far everyone was, and I was like, they were still on the start-finish straight when I was in turn 2. I was like, right, okay, let's. I've got a lot of time. Like it's always easy to see 20 seconds lead, but you can't. It's very hard to gauge. Wow, they're 20 seconds behind. That's this far behind. So when you see it in real life and see it in real time, it's so much better to actually see it, because I think it's something. It might have something to do with my dyslexia, to be honest, because I'm not very good at picturing it in my mind. I have to kind of see it. So that was when it kind of clicked of, right, okay, this is a big gap now. But no, that was a fantastic race, I must say. And I think I've always wanted to do something like that, and that was the round that one of my main people that I was very close to, my neighbour John Phillips, died, so that was for him. So no, really good.
Moving on to the Talent Cup, or the European Talent Cup that you're doing. Obviously, the bikes are extremely similar, but a lot of what the British Talent Cup riders say when they do go to European Talent Cup is they have to get used to the tyres. Is that something you've thought of, or have you had a chance to ride on the European Talent Cup tyres yet, or what are you expecting from going away from the Dunlops?
I have definitely had a go on the Bridgestones. Don't know how long ago it was really, but I wasn't how I am now when I had a go on the Bridgestone. So,
is there a noticeable difference? Can you really feel the difference when you're riding?
There's a big difference. Yes, there's a big difference in the way they act as well over a period of time. But it's hard to say, because when you're riding on a shredded set of Bridgestones, a shredded set of Dunlops, it's all about different track conditions, different this, different that. I've ridden it on shredded Dunlops over in Spain, yes, but not on the same day as I have rode on Bridgestone. So yeah, hard to give an accurate representation. They have felt a bit they do feel very much stronger than the Dunlops, but at the same time, I think it's a whole different riding technique, and you have to act on how they are and have to customise how you ride due to the Dunlops. I think the Dunlops are very good and the Bridgestones are very good. They've got a different way of riding, and I've learned how to ride on the Bridgestones, I hope, and when we do go to European Talent Cup, we'll be able to see the difference between how the Spanish actually ride on these Bridgestones compared to me, and then basically learn how they ride on the Bridgestones and know if they're pushing to this limit, well, I can definitely go to that at a minimum and maybe even more. So we'll see what we can do, and I know whatever I do when I do go out there is I will definitely go and have fun.
Yeah, well, I wish you all the best, buddy. I think you're going to do brilliant. Or you've got to use this as a learning weekend, shall we say, and hopefully that push you on mega for next season and get you all set up for next season as well. But I wish you all the best of luck, buddy.
No, well, thank you for that. And it'll definitely be a big jump, but hopefully Evan will be able to give me some tips. It might be might be a bit tighter on the tips than normal, but hopefully up to 4 rounds on the Vision Track bike already on Bridgestones in ETC. So hopefully he'll be able to help me get up to speed a bit quicker, and we'll see what we can do.
And you can finally find out from him some secrets maybe that maybe they did or didn't have this year. You know, did they? I don't know. Did they? I don't know. Just throwing some ideas around. But yeah, no. If Evan is your teammate for the final round at ETC, then yeah, good luck, both of you, and for next season as well, because surely, I mean, that'll be the ultimate goal, to do what many other people have done, is a joint campaign in RedBull Rookies and in ETC, perhaps with Vision Track. I mean, I said it before a while back, I can't think of a better pairing from a British point of view to have you both flying the flag for the UK in Europe. So I'm sure there's talks and stuff in the background going on at the moment. So there always is with you. You always got something up your sleeve coming up soon, and something and plans for the future, haven't you? So just talking a bit more, just finally, before we let you go, Sullivan, because it's probably the last time we're going to speak to you this year, I think, unless you've got another announcement to come up, I don't know. But just talking about your personal life and stuff, because, well, we knows it. I mean, we're journalists, really. So, I mean, how is life away from the racetrack and training and stuff? What do you actually do to just chill out? Don't be boring and say, my life is 100% racing. What do you actually do away from racing? What do you actually do to chill out?
Well, it is actually quite busy, to be honest. I study engineering, and I do a lot of things, to be honest with you. I do a lot of rock climbing with the names I mentioned earlier that race in Fab Racing. So Sam Gardner, Lewis Hull, Jen. We all live quite close, Finley Pole Hill. We all live in kind of a tight circle close together. So we all go kind of training together. And then we've got Max Gardner, who's my rider coach's son, Ian's son, and Sam's brother. And he's a machine. So he's kind of, he's like a personal trainer or a guide. A guidance of like, this is the kind of level I need to be. Right, I'm here. Let's try and get up to him. So we're making steps to get there. And that's one thing that we do together is rock climbing, all of us. And I do a lot of cycling as well on Zwift and outside. One of my favourite routes that I do is I kind of cycle from my house through Buckingham and then through Chackmore and then to Dadford and then up to Silverstone and then circuit, and then I go to see Baines Racing sometimes on the odd occasion, which is a cycle shop, and then back down through Silverstone Village and then down another way. So I've kind of got a nice little loop that I do of 30k if I'm going out.
30k?
A nice little route.
Christ. Okay.
But it's really good, to be honest, because depending on the route I like to do, I've sometimes cycled to Finley's house, and we've then gone out for a cycle. So I cycled to his house, then we done like a little 20k cycle, and then cycled back home. So that was about 60k. So it depends on what I do. I do quite a bit of cycling anyway. But I'd always love to do more. I don't think there's ever a limit on me. I'd like to.
You're quite competitive, though, aren't you? So
yeah,
nothing's ever enough. So
no, I don't like cycling on my own though, because I don't push myself. So I always like someone that's a little bit better than me, and then I've kind of got to
try and beat them. Yeah,
like Max. So it's definitely beneficial. I've kind of, if you can see here, I've actually got a seat. I'll twist the camera a bit. So I've got my seat and steering wheel.
Oh, right, a rig, yeah.
Yeah, so I play on that. on occasion, where I'd play a set of course to get used to the tracks, or MotoGP and get used to the tracks and the bikes, depending on what it is. And it's definitely a really, really useful tool, because we can't really afford a massive sim rig. But no, it's definitely, it's very useful for when you haven't been to a track, so it's quite useful. And what I've been doing recently, which is spinning some laps around Valencia, and just to try and get myself to grips with the track, so I'm ready to rock and roll when I get there. And track preparation, and then you've got everything else that you do. You've got to go, I do quite a bit of swimming, or like to do more swimming than other things, because I find it's definitely a much harder hit on me, swimming, than a lot of things. I do like cycling mainly, but swimming's a good one. And then I do my outside. I'm not the tallest person. When I say not the tallest, I'm probably quite tall compared to some riders.
You're quite tall when you go to Fab, though, because I mean, all the kids there.
Yeah, true. But when I go to in Spain, they're all small, aren't they? But in England, compared to most people my age, they're all like 5'8", 5'10", 6 foot and stuff. So it's ridiculous, to be honest. When you see me stand next to them, I look like a younger kid. So it's, I think I can use that to my advantage. But I play quite a bit of basketball, so when I'm playing basketball, I'm like the little guy running through everyone because I'm tiny. I've joined my school's basketball team now, and we're doing all right. I've not been able to go to many of the games, matches or training sessions just because of race and everything that's clashed out recently, but I'll be able to start going to them again because they're a really good intensive workout. And I'm also a big fan of badminton, which isn't a very
Sully, do you do anything to just chill out?
And I used to play a lot of tennis, but which there isn't really much tennis courts near me, sadly. But
oh no, I can imagine.
It's fun, but I don't like football, which is going to aggravate.
Okay, that's the one thing that you don't actually do yet.
The one sport he doesn't play.
Yeah.
I do play it, but I don't like it.
Oh, right. Oh, well, won't get into that, but yeah.
Yeah.
So when you're not doing all of that, and sim racing, and training, and in the gym, or actual racing, and travelling to racing stuff, I'm sure you just like to chill out.
The closest thing I do to chilling out, to be honest with you guys, is
chatting to us.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. I mean, Lewis is now a retired rider, only because he likes ice cream a bit too much, plus all the crash damage and stuff. But I mean, you set a high bar. From what you're saying, I don't know how much you make it seem like you're doing a lot of stuff, and you probably are, to be fair. But I did ask the question, what do you like doing away from racing? And apparently it's everything.
I'll answer that for sure. I do play quite a bit of Xbox with my friends from racing, and a couple of that are outside of racing. But I'm a very active person when I'm with someone. If someone comes over to my house, I don't go, do you want to play some Xbox or PS4? I kind of go, let's go outside, let's go cycling, let's go play basketball, let's go do something. If it has to be something I do in the evening, I FaceTime my friends away from everything else, or playing Xbox, really. I have been revising or doing coursework for college, obviously, so I've been doing my maths that Ian keeps on setting me, which is very frustrating. Luckily, Helen the Angel's quite good, not kind with me on that, but Ian's very strict, so I will be jumping on and finishing that for when I do next go and see him, for my next tuition session with him. But it's kind of it, to be honest with you guys. It's it's not as interesting as it is more interesting than it sounds. But I watch movies with my mum and dad. So
there you go.
I'm involved, and they.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough then. Yeah. So okay. And you mentioned as well that you're doing engineering, and I think you told me last time you were on it was have you moved colleges now? It was at the Silverstone UTC. Are you still there, or are you somewhere else now?
So I was going to the Silverstone University Technical College for year 11 and year 12, and I've now moved to Milton Keynes College for the engineering course there, to further my engineering skills, which has been really beneficial. And I've actually learned a lot more. I've learned how to now use a milling machine, lathe, and many other things like a center drill, and so much I have learned, even little techniques which you don't think you would use. And then when I have previously crashed, I haven't done much crashing this year, when it would have been more useful if it was last year, because then I'd have been able to do more stuff that I've learned. But I've learned how to fix my bike in a much more accurate way, rather than kind of taking a blind eye to everything I'm doing.
A bit more mechanically sympathetic.
Yes, indeed. So it's paying off, and that's what I want to. I want to further develop my understanding in engineering, so I know as much about the bike as possible. So if engineer's doing something to my bike, then I kind of have an understanding of every minuscule difference that it will do, rather than kind of taking a blind eye to everything and kind of just like not going off their word, but having a full understanding to each detail that is made. So that's kind of the main reasoning behind it. And I just love motorsport in general. So if there was anything I had to do to kind of stay in education, it's definitely what I'd like to do.
Well, talking about motorsport in general, I know there's a Formula One team based in Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
Don't know if you've put an application into that. Cheeky grin. Yeah.
Maybe not. I can't tell you that now, can I, Lester?
Yeah, you did. But yeah, well, it sounds like you're pretty busy anyway, even though it's the end of the season, and that doesn't mean that everyone stops doing what they're doing, especially you, Sullivan.
Yeah.
Because, you're busy with college and stuff, and getting stuff for next weekend as well. And how do you prepare for something like that? Last question. I know, unless you wanted to stay on for the rest of the show, I don't know. But yeah, how do you actually prepare? Because it's sort of a new thing, really. Do you just sort of turn up and sort of try and play it cool and be as mentally ready as possible without any sort of passport dramas and that sort of thing?
Well, I will definitely be more prepared with the passport, that's sure. And other than that, everything else is perfect for RedBull Rookies. The team's really helpful. They've helped me make sure everything's kind of triple checked and knowing everything's bang on for when we get there. And I think it'll be the same approach that I took to the RedBull Rookie selection, and what I kind of took to every BTC round, which is always my 100% goal, is to give everything I do my all. So it'll just be to do the track research, know where I'm going, to do as best as I can to be as on point of the time I want to be at for the end of the weekend straight away. Because if I can do that, then it's most work's done. It's then just about fine tuning me and being at one with the bike. So I think that's kind of the main thing about what I want to do, to be honest with you, and how I prepare for a weekend, which not a lot of people will know what to do or how to do it. So that's what I do, and it's just kind of learning the track, going through each corner at detail, so I know point to point, and trying to basically be as consistent as possible, because I think now it's just like watching the videos with these Spanish and Italian and wherever they're from, they're racing the European Talent Cup or the Junior GP series in total. It's so crazy how they hit everything bang on every lap, which I think if I came to...
Is that true? Or is that just you thinking that they do?
No. If you watch it, you can see that how accurate they are and how tight they are between every lap. I think if I came back to BTC, I'd have a completely different way of riding and how I ride and how I understand each corner, to be honest with you. It's a completely different way of riding out there in Spain, and we'll see what we can do for the last round. But I think if we did ever come back to BTC, or anyone that does do BTC or wants to get into BTC, it's definitely advised to watch the European Talent Cup races. But on another note, to anyone that does want to inquire or know more about the British Talent Cup, then I will be at the National Museum in the NEC at Birmingham this weekend on Saturday. So if you do want to come over and say hello and understand everything and sit on my junior bikes or even my Moto3, then pop over and say a quick hello, because we'll be on the stand there.
There you go, fantastic stuff. And well, before you know it, Smooth Sully may just turn into Spanish Sully as you learn more of the ways of just how copying them. I suppose, like you say, there is a good example, as good as any, I suppose, to copy from the Spanish, as you said. But yeah, no, fantastic to have you back on the show, and thank you as well for unveiling that news to us. Big congratulations on the season. I know it wasn't quite the championship that you were hoping for, but second, to Evan Belford as well. I mean, it was overall, it was a fantastic season, Sullivan. You really should be proud of what you have achieved, because it is a phenomenal feat. You've beaten basically everybody else, apart from Evan, who you can beat next week if you want. So, So, thank you for all the great racing this year. And, it's not over yet, because we'll be tuned in live, watching it live. And Kiko Giles as well, the Motorsport Radio co-host of The Breakfast Show, he'll be commentating on your racing next weekend. So if he gets anything wrong, just pop up and see him, let him know.
No, well, thank you for that, guys. And with this whole racing malarkey, would it be possible if it wasn't for the sponsors, like one of my main sponsors, which is going to help us get there, which is Madison Media. It's massive, to be honest, that every little thing helps. So thank you to everyone that is involved, like JNS, Frank Thomas, Madison Media, the Road to MotoGP, Shark Helmets, everyone. It's massive, to be honest. I think it couldn't be done without them, even like the little sponsors like Putaline and everyone like that. I think it's massive. So I'd just like to say a big thank you to all my sponsors. Anything I can do to help you guys or come on the show, I'll definitely be delighted, even if it is about a bit of MotoGP gossip.
We are talking about MotoGP next, so I mean, you're more than welcome to stay on for the rest of the show if you want and chip in, but I mean, giving an opinion. And so I don't know if you want to stay a bit neutral.
I'm happy to stay and give my best opinion with a pinch of salt. How about that?
Well, if you don't like Sullivan's opinions, he has others as well. But yeah, okay, then fine. Let's.
We've done MotoGP, so we need to talk about Moto2 and Moto3, don't we?
Yeah, have we done MotoGP? I don't know.
We didn't really do it. We didn't really talk about the race, did we? To be fair.
Well, yeah, we kind of sort of just said, well,
skimmed over it.
Yeah, we sort of skimmed over. Well, I'll ask Sullivan. I'm guessing you watched the GP race on the Saturday. What did you make of it overall?
I think I was over the moon, to be honest, with Zarco's first win.
That's what we said.
That was... I think he deserved it. I've watched Zarco since his first year or last year Moto2 and first year MotoGP when he led that race at Qatar and then threw it all away. That was proper shame, really, to be honest with you. I think that was one of those things, and I bet he's kicked himself ever since that day. So I think it's a big step for him, and I'm just really happy for him to actually finally get that win, and one of the main Shark riders that's been wearing Shark ever since his RedBull Rookie days. So he's been a big Shark rider, and he's a fantastic rider, and anyone in MotoGP is the top of their game, the best in the world. So I think to become one of the best in the world and get a win is spectacular. So no, he's definitely performed.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the consensus of what we were saying earlier, just before you came on the show, is that it was just a very happy podium overall, and everyone was happy. Dorna made the right decision, and the track organisers and the event organised by moving the event to a Saturday. Yeah, so and I think that leads us nicely, guys, onto Moto2 and Moto3. So shall we start in Moto2 anyway? And it was another typically British kind of performance, Lewis, in that we always get our hopes up that Sam or Jake is going to do well, and then they get up to like second and third. I forget which order they were in, but they were in second.
Was in that order.
Yeah. And I sent Lewis a message on Facebook. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. But I forgot what I said, but it was literally before it even, like a second later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we just put our condolences out for poor Lopez who crashed on the first corner? I don't know if I'd mentioned it already.
If he doesn't come on this show because of you, Jay, because of your hatred of him and everyone else's,
no one likes him. I don't know.
I'm giving him a chance. I'm keeping an open mind. I don't hate anyone. So yeah.
He crashed early on. He crashed really early on. And Jake and Sam, they crashed in the space of what must have been less than a minute. It was on the same lap, and they were in second and third at the time. And it was. Lester sent me a message at just after 1 a.m. it would have been saying Lowe's and Dixon second and third, and then a wild face, and then literally 30 seconds later saying spoke too soon. But that's exactly what happened whenever Jake crashed, and then by the time I replied, Sam Lowe's had also crashed. Well, it was so disappointing, but
I can tell you're hiding your excitement, ready to say this. We said it last week.
We did. We spoke about
to score some points.
Exactly. And Rory Skinner, 12th place finish from him and on the points. So the Scottish rider inside the points.
Yeah, but
finally
only because everybody else crashed out, though.
Well, yes, but it was still tricky conditions. You have to finish the race to score points at the end of the day. And he did beat some notable riders like Alberto Arenas, Ayagura and Manuel Gonzalez, who were still running at the time of the red flag.
How many points did he score then? Like 1.5?
Two.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, it was half points, wasn't
half
it?
points,
because
the race was stopped before the 2/3 distance. So Tony Arbolino, who won the race, only scored 12.5 points from that one, while Pedro Acosta finished in 9th after crashing on the sighting lap. He was lucky to even make it out of the pit lane to make the race start. He finished down in 9th position. So really what could have been a big points haul to catch up to Pedro Acosta has halved, and now Pedro Acosta could win the championship this weekend in Thailand.
Whose win was bigger? Sully's at Silverstone or what you call at Phillip Island? How big was his wing? Because I know it was quite big.
15 seconds at the line.
Sully, what was yours at Silverstone?
23.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, he's outdid him.
Yeah, but it was
half race, yeah.
An interesting Moto2 race in that everyone, it was hard to know exactly where to look because everyone was flying off, and
literally
by the time everyone had flew off and all the Brits, well, apart from Rory Skinner, also crashed out, it was I felt a tiny bit deflated. I mean, I thought maybe Rory might have, with the conditions that with him being Scottish, I thought maybe...
I did notice at the start he did climb up to 12th place very early on when everyone was still up. But then he must have had a moment or something because he dropped all the way back to 16th again. So he could have possibly done a little better, but I think just staying on in those conditions was a massive well done. And you can't take it away. He's got points on the board now. That's the main thing. And just little things like that, like Sully will tell you, little things like that can give you a massive bit of confidence, and that might now put him on for the last 4 rounds of the season. He might go on and get some, as Lester would say, some proper points now.
I might have said that, yeah. But what do you reckon then, Sully? Well, with Rory Skinner anyway, nice to see him getting some points, but is he going to get any more proper points?
Yeah, well, I think I haven't been able to see Moto2 or Moto3. It's actually, I don't know what's happened, but at home, none of the races recorded, and it's not on Discovery. So, a bit of a shame there, as I haven't actually been able to watch them. And MotoGP, I was able to catch glimpses of it when it didn't say recording ended. I don't know what's going on at my end, but so I'm kind of going off a bit of a full spec. But
it's because they changed all the times around probably, and it might be earlier. So
well, that's what it will be then. But no, but I think it's massive, to be honest. To even score World Championship points in Moto2, it's definitely a hard thing to get. And yes, it's one now he's done it. I think he'll be on a roll now of just kind of not being able to stop. Hopefully, that's what I'm hoping. I think he's a good rider, Rory, watching him in BSB, and hopefully this will be a role of now he's kind of on the move of points. He knows he can do it. Now he believes he can do it. He's now going to be able to do it. So, and it's good as well because it's not just 15th place, 1 point. It'd normally be 3 points or 2 places off top 10. So it's massive steps. And I think sadly, I feel like there might be pressure that will be applied to him to achieve that, but hopefully he'll be able to deal with that and take that more on as motivation and be able to deliver on that and stay in Moto2 for next year.
Well, he did say there was an interesting interview with the TNT guys, with someone anyway. Before the weekend, he was saying something along the lines of, well, I know from the outside, people, all the keyboard warriors on Facebook, it's easy for them to sort of chip in and slag me off. And sometimes it might not show that I am trying my best. I am doing my best out here. It might be, 18th or 20th or whatever, or sometimes the DNF, but it doesn't mean that I'm not putting in 100%, and sometimes people don't see that. So from a rider's point of view, I thought actually, we do tend to sort of be a bit critical online. So
I think next year is going to be a massive year with Rory because one, he's going to have learned all the tracks, and it's going to be a level playing field for everyone next season because they're changing the tyre manufacturer. So everyone's going to be completely the same because there's no one who's going to have more experience on these sort of tyres because everyone's got to learn all these tyres now. So it's going to be a massive year for Rory next year where he's going to be exactly the same as everyone else.
What do you reckon, Lewis?
Yeah, I mean, well, it depends what Pirelli do with the tyres. If they're going to use something similar to, for example, like he used in BSB, similar construction just to the SC12X, even though it's similar to the World Superbike tyres. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Rory adapts to it. It's going to be interesting to see how the chassis manufacturers adapt to it and the teams. It's going to be a completely new dynamic. I'm really excited for the Pirelli tyres to be introduced, and great to see Rory in the points. It does sound like he's got obviously that contract in the bag for next year. A very, very close relationship with John Hopkins as well, which I help him a lot in the American racing team, just for the vibe in the team, never mind helping them out with contracts. And that 2-year deal, it was super important going into it, just to have that in your back pocket. So, for example, you had rounds like India, where Kaito Nazane took him out at the final corner on the final lap of the race. Stupid races like that, stupid results, crashes, DNF mistakes, they don't necessarily matter as much due to the fact he already has a contract in his back pocket, and obviously a change of teammates as well mid-season. He's not had the most consistent season in the world, but hopefully next year he can pick it up. We know how talented he is from BSB and that British Supersport season in 2020 where he dominated the championship, and also up in Scotland as well. So yeah, hopefully we can see him consistent inside the points, and next year that's really what he needs to be aiming towards to have a ride in 2025.
Blimey, okay. So sounds like you're a big supporter anyway, Lewis.
Well, yeah, patriotic.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Well, you're allowed to be. He is a British rider anyway, unless he's Scottish, depending on how well he does. It's that old Andy Murray thing, isn't it? If he does well, then he's British. If he's not too good on any particular weekend, then he's Scottish.
Well, I think as well, it's not even just necessarily the fact he's Scottish. The fact that if he does well, like we've seen with Jake Dixon, it could open up a whole new avenue to British Superbike riders once again, for the world to realise how talented those boys are, and then we could see even more riders start to make the step. And, you know, for example, your Charlie Nesbitt, your Max Cook, maybe they'll be looking towards trying to make that step.
Or Sullivan Mounsey.
Or Sullivan Mounsey in a few years' time.
Who knows? Well, you know.
I'm gonna ask Sully quickly the question, but Sully has to promise me it's just going to be a one-word answer. I used to ask it to all the other guests. It's a long way away yet, so don't worry, but it's the end of your career and someone's offered you the World Superbike Championship or a MotoGP win. Which one would you take?
It's not going to be one word. How long would I be in World Superbikes for, and how long would I be in
no.
He's negotiating, isn't he?
Okay, you've had a bit of time in both, but you never won a MotoGP race.
Okay, but do I get more seasons in MotoGP after this?
I didn't think of this. How can I put this? All right, so you're exactly what Bautista's doing. You were in MotoGP for ages. I don't think Bautista ever won a MotoGP race.
No.
But he's gone on to win the World Superbike title. There you go. So you're Bautista. But you could swap that World Superbike Championship for a MotoGP win. And Bautista is coming back soon, isn't he?
Malaysia.
And I'm going to put a bet on that Bautista will be on the podium at Malaysia.
I think that I'd go for the MotoGP win.
Okay, that's fair enough.
If I go for the MotoGP win, hopefully it will be a more consistent thing rather than just a one-off. And if I get that, you might be a Joan Mir, mightn't you? You only win one race and you win the title. Imagine that. You never know, but I'd hope it'd be more of a consistent thing of win after I get that first win.
Yeah, but at the end of your career, though, it's probably a choice between the two. So.
Oh, but if you get that first MotoGP win,
he's going for the MotoGP win.
I love riding, so if I got the first MotoGP win, then that was it. I didn't get any other offers in MotoGP. I then go to World Superbikes, but to win your MotoGP race and to be a rider in MotoGP is a whole nother level in itself. When you have Scott Redding, and then if you had Johan Zarco, I feel like Zarco, if he went to World Superbikes, he probably would beat everyone there, personally speaking.
I think in World Superbikes at the moment, it really is down to what bike you're on, because obviously Petrucci was a good MotoGP rider, but he's not on the best Ducati out there, and you can see that he still gets podiums in World Superbikes, but he's not quite close enough to get that win, is he?
But then he is getting on, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not like 20 and striving like Remy Gardner, who's going to be coming up. He's 30 something, which is still young, yes.
Nothing wrong with 30-something people.
He's not at the peak of his career. He's past the peak of his career. I'd like to. So I don't expect him to go and win a championship, even if he was on a factory Ducati. I think Remy Gardner looks very promising, but I'm kind of ashamed that he didn't get another year.
Yeah, it is bad.
it's just how it all worked out. And it's a shame for Polo Espargaro that he's not getting another year with KTM or Gas, because he was definitely, I feel like he was going to be able to put a strong fight in for this year. And then he had that obviously dreadful injury at Portimao, I'm pretty sure it was. But then you've got Pedro Acosta, who's a youngster who's basically gone from his first year in Moto3 to 2 years in Moto2, and now he's in MotoGP. He said in 2020, right, Pedro, you're going to be in MotoGP for 2024. He'd gone, nah, you're lying. So, it's ridiculous, to be honest, but you can't stop someone that's coming up that quick. I didn't think he would be on such a roll this year that he'd be on course for the championship, but he's on it and he's going to be able to do it possibly. Don't want to jinx him, but he is looking on a roll at the moment, and there's no point trying to stop that flow and just go, can you just wait one more year for him, a bit like what happened with Jonathan Ray. Apparently, I don't really know the ins and outs, but what happened with Jonathan Ray, or the rumours of what it said, where he said it that just give us one more year, then you can go in, and then Marc Marquez came. So I think it's definitely good that they've got him into that team, and now we'll see what he can do.
Okay, well, everyone's
better talk about Moto3.
Yeah, Moto3. Well, we can talk about...
I think Pedro Acosta is going to be the next Marquez. So,
well, that's the popular opinion, but it doesn't always work out that way, does it? Just because someone's on a roll at the moment doesn't mean that their next season is going to be absolutely phenomenal.
No one thought Fabio Quartararo was going to come from anything when he was in Moto2, but look what happened there. So, of course you did, Lester.
I did. I've always got my finger on the pulse of stuff. Anyway, since you mentioned World Superbikes, actually, and we are running out of time, let's just talk about World Superbikes, because it is the final round. The final round this weekend at
Jerez. It should have been Argentina at San Juan, but it's changed to Jerez.
Exactly. And so big talking points then, Lewis, coming into World Superbikes final round then. What do we need to watch out for?
Yeah, watch out for obviously the championship getting wrapped up this weekend. That small matter of the World Superbike Championship. At the end of the last round of the championship at Portimao, which seems like an absolute eternity ago, I should say, at the start of October. The championship leading that one, Bautista led the way by 60 points. And of course, there is 62 points available in the World Superbike race weekend. So, yeah, it looks pretty wrapped up, to be honest, at the moment. Bautista needs something catastrophic
we've said
to go
that
wrong
before,
in race one. Yeah, we have. All it takes is for
something catastrophic happened to his championship, didn't it? But he came back, as you say, the last couple of races. But yeah, he'd won 1, 2, 3, 4 in the last 5, maybe. Okay, he's not won as many as he certainly did at the start when he basically literally dominated.
Yeah, up till Imola, he'd won every single race that year. Every single race this year, and he is the most successful World Superbike rider, I guess you could say. Most successful season for a World Superbike rider. Toprak Razgatlioglu. It's the last time we're going to see him in blue in the Yamaha Killers, at least for a little while, as he goes to BMW. And same for Jonathan Ray, third place in the championship, going to Yamaha next season, hanging up his Kawasaki levers. What an exciting time it is for World Superbike at the moment.
Everyone is swapping teams, aren't they?
Yeah, everyone's swapping teams. It's all the big riders, and there's talks, there were talks, I don't know if it's still going on, that Michael Ruben Rinaldi was put up for a Moto2 ride with Gresini, but the talk of that's died down a little bit. All the top riders changing teams, and I guess harshly, the Grand Prix rejects are wanting in the championship. So, yeah, what a time for World Superbikes, and hopefully...
Also, something we haven't mentioned, the new rule change that Scott Redding is going to be extremely happy about, that they have now got rules. A weight limit in World Superbike. Bautista's going to be not very happy with that, is he?
No, he's not. And the weight rule is quite interesting.
Just remind everyone else, but not me, because I already know, obviously. Just remind everyone else what this weight rule limit thing is.
So it was discussed it's been discussed and debated actually for the whole season really, and the combined weight rules, so combined weight between the rider and the bike, will be introduced for the 2024 season, and as long as with new rev limiters and all that, super concessions, and they're all getting changed for next season. So a lot of new rules are getting put in force, but basically it means a rider needs to be over a certain weight next year. So for example, Alvaro Bautista, he's a lot smaller, he's a lot lighter than, for example, Scott Redding, who was the main voice for this.
He's been talking about this ever since he went to World Superbike.
Yeah, he has. He's not been happy with the rule, wasn't happy with the way the rules are run. He thought Bautista is winning all these races because of his weight advantage. It's something that we always speak about in motorsport, but it means if you're under that minimum weight, you have to add on weight onto your motorcycle. Now, if for example, you're under the weight limit by 10 kilos, every single kilogram that you're underweight from the minimum weight limit, you have to add half a kilo on for every kilo. So if you're 10 kilos underweight, because you're just a lighter rider in general, then you're going to have to add 5 kilos onto your motorcycle. So it's not making it, it's closing the gap, but it means that riders that are lighter weight can still run under this new minimum weight rule. It just means they have to add half the weight on that they're under by. So it's still
Why don't they add the same amount that they're under by onto the bike?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's what Scott Redding is asking asking about the rules at the moment. He doesn't understand the fact that someone can still be underweight at the moment, and it's not fully sorting the issue. So I still think we're going to hear plenty of moans about it, to be honest.
Riders moaning? No.
Never.
Bautista's going to start moaning, saying, "Oh, you've put the weight in a terrible position on my bike and it's made it handle horrendously." There will be a lot more arguments going on yet about this, I reckon.
I don't think that this is going to actually play out at all. I think that this is basically going to just end badly for both parties, as Bautista and the lighter riders, because I'm pretty sure Jonathan Ray's not the tallest compared to Top Rack and Scott Redding. I think they've kind of done a in-between version. So now what's going to happen? I think we're going to have a Jonathan Ray and Bautista going, what is this? Like, why do we have weight? And then you'll have Scott Redding and Top Rack going, well, this isn't enough weight. So I feel like actually no party is going to be happy with this at all. I think they might be more happy than less with Scott and Top Rack. But for more Bautista's side and the smaller rider side, I don't think they're going to be happy at all. So I think actually it'd be much better if it was just the actual weights that they go, they kind of do a median average weight of bike and rider of all the bikes and teams and everyone, and then they just do a middle weight of that, and then they basically go to that weight. So then it's kind of not it's
an average.
An average. Yeah. It's not unfair for the heavy rider, or if it might still be a little bit unfair for the heavy riders, but at least they can, I like to say lose weight, but they're already at the peak of their...
Yeah.
You can't ask Scott Redding to lose weight, the amount of cycling he does.
Yeah.
He's just big boned, allegedly. But I know what you mean. Yeah,
you're never going to get it perfect.
No, I mean, well, I've been trying to lose weight for years and it's just going the wrong way. But yeah, I don't know. How about just stick everyone on a bike, shut up and go and race? There you go. and just sort it out between yourselves.
That would be too simple.
I mean, it's never always about, riders' weights and stuff, even though some riders like to sort of try and convince other people otherwise.
If it wasn't Bautista winning the championship and dominating the championship, would we see this riders moaning about trying to get this combined weight?
No, not at all. It's only because of Bautista, isn't it? He looks like he looks like he can barely touch the floor on that Ducati. He is a proper Danny Pedrosa sort of guy, and he is tiny. And it's only because he's running. Like we saw that at Portimao at the last round. I mean, Toprak had the speed everywhere around the track, but it didn't matter because as soon as they got to that start and finish straight, Bautista just got beside him. He didn't even need to get in the session, and he could get him before the start and finish. So you can understand it is just Bautista. Let's not get this wrong. We're not saying Bautista is winning these races because he's a small rider. He is a quality rider because at the end of the day, he still has to be able to keep within that bit of time behind Toprak to be able to get him down the straight. But obviously,
it makes it easier.
Yeah, because obviously it's a lot easier to pass down the straights than it is round corners. So it just makes it easier for him. But yeah, I think going back to Bautista, Malaysia, I'll put my money on it now. I reckon he's going to get a podium. He is chosen because he used to go well at that track in MotoGP. We've got those extremely long straights for his body weight. He's chosen that round to do that.
He's cherry picked the round he's going to pick, and he'll get a podium just because of his weight. But Sullivan, you've raced obviously the British Talent Cup, and just quickly, it's obviously you're pretty much all on identical machinery. How much of a difference does weight actually make in that sort of class?
It makes a massive difference, to be honest with you. It's like just going, here's another horsepower, depending on how heavy and how light the riders are. I think there should definitely be more weight to be added to the bike than it's a safety concern. I think it might benefit me for the couple smaller riders, but as I'm getting taller, it definitely doesn't benefit me. I think I'd much prefer to have more weight, so then I'm learning more. But I'm kind of already at the weight of the average person, so it's not average person, but the average rider in the category. So it's definitely, or maybe just height. I'm not really sure on how heavy everyone is, but I know I'm one of the, if it was an average, I'd be on the just below smaller size of everyone else. So I think it does make a difference, but then there's also weight, as people are much differently built. But it's hard as well because you've got people on different bikes, different power, different characteristics. So when you then have weight and different bikes, it has a whole nother playing field. If it was just all on the same bike, you'd be able to see the difference, because if you see a big rider you can see how they're getting on the power and how it acts differently to a lighter rider. But on different bikes, it's much harder to compare it because they're on different bikes all of a sudden. So it might be a little bit faster, like the Ducatis are in MotoGP compared to a Yamaha. I'm not too sure what it's like in World Superbikes. I know it's definitely much closer, a Yamaha and a Ducati in speed compared to MotoGP, but it plays a massive part. But then there's also disadvantages of being lighter, because there's less weight going into the ground. But then you then have a lot more chance to learn from the faster riders, because you're able to catch them up on a straight and then learn from them in the corners. So there's big differences between the both positives and negatives, but I think there's definitely more positives of being a lighter rider and as fast around the corners than there is of being a slower, not slower, but heavier rider on the straights. So slower down the straights and then railing it around the corners, to be honest with you guys.
Okay. Interesting. Be interesting to hear what the British Talent Cup rider coaches, Alex Baldolini and Matt Balchin, have to say about that. Because I hear all throughout, because I talk to a lot more riders than probably what maybe you would, Sullivan. I talk to, all of them and stuff. And a lot of them say the same thing, to be honest. Especially the taller riders and the bigger riders who are just more naturally bigger. And they all say, yeah, well, my weight and stuff like that. And then you see them on the podium. You're just like, oh, okay. Oh, yeah, whatever. And then, so it's just interesting. So that's all. But yeah, and going and talking about Bautista anyway, his mid-season drop in performance, I mean, there's so much that can be attributed. It's not, necessarily. I think a lot of stuff maybe gets attributed to weight or lack of weight. When someone is winning, oh yeah, that's definitely weight.
Well, no, I've said this, not weight with Bautista. He is a quality rider, and he's on the best bike as well. So it's not just the weight, but you put all those things together, he's going to win by a long way, isn't he?
Perfect combination.
Maybe that's it. Just a combination of the right bike, the right team, the right tracks, the right everything.
Where was he coming when he was on the Honda a few years ago? He was coming nowhere, was he?
And he was still probably the same weight. So
I think actually overall it's the same as BTC, to be honest. There's a lot more in the rider than there is in the bike because of all the talent. So if I give it a comparison to BTC, you can have a taller, heavier rider than a smaller rider and still beat them. Like you might have I don't know, Evan's a taller rider, but he beat Evan beat Johnny at round one, and he's beaten before, and he's a much bigger rider. I'm a big rider, and I know I've beat Johnny before.
Lucas Brown as well.
Yeah, Lucas Brown. He's got to be the tallest out there.
Who rails it round the corner. So there's a lot of big riders that are really fast, and a lot of big British riders where if they were smaller I feel like we might be able to do a bit more. But at the end of the day, you've got to live with how you're built, and they always take the best of how they are. And I think this is one of the positives of being a up-and-coming Brit, is that you've got a lot more competition, whereas instead before it might have just been the 1 in a million type of thing. There's a lot more Brits coming through, and a lot of Brits coming through due to the support of Dorna and everyone behind there, like Annaletta, Alex Baldolini, Matt Balchin. They're all doing a massive part. So it's just I'd like to say a big thank you to them as well for getting mine, Evans, and all the people coming out now's names out there, to be honest with you. Because if it wasn't for them, I don't think as many people would be where they are or going to be in the future.
Definitely, it has a tide has definitely started to turn in promoting British talent and people coming from the UK. It is no longer the case, and I've said this before, that to be successful, to go and race in the GP paddock, you don't need to just rush off and vanish to Spain when you're 10, 11, 12 years old. First of all, because the age limit that's paid to that, but also because there is that route now. There's the British Talent Cup route, which is working, and it's proving to work as well. I mean, I keep talking about it week after week, but Fab Racing, on the road to MotoGP, it's been going. It's had that connection since 2016, I think, 2017, and it's just starting now to start to come through and shine and promote people like Josh Watley, or actual Josh Watley, and Scott Ogden, and whomever next.
Yeah,
don't know.
Yeah, really, really good point. And there's one question I have to ask you guys, which I have been wondering. How do you think Jonathan Rea will perform on the Yamaha? Do you think there could be a 7th title coming, or do you think he's kind of hit the limit and that's it all done now?
Lewis?
Of getting put in the spot here. Yeah, I think definitely Jonathan Rea. It's mainly their whole riding style thing with that motorcycle that I think everyone's got the question about. I think he still has the speed. I don't see Toprak Razkatioglu fighting in the same next season with him being on that BMW, certainly at the start of the season. So straight away, that's another competition that I don't really see him having next year. So yeah, I think we could potentially see Jonathan Rea win a 7th title. I think, yeah,
not next
70%.
year,
yeah, I don't see it next year. I think Yamaha still need to find something, or Jonathan Rea needs to ride the wheels off that bike like Razkatioglu has done to be able to catch the Ducatis. I mean, if you put almost a level playing field on the motorcycles, I still think Jonathan Rea would be out on top, or certainly have a better chance of winning. It's trying to close that gap to the Ducatis at the moment. But yeah, I think if Yamaha can manage to close up the gap between Ducatis, we're going to see Jonathan Rea get a 7th title. That's what I'll say. But I don't think we're going to see Razkatioglu in the run-in next year on the BMW.
Jay?
I'm going to, before we go to Jonathan Rea, I'm going to disagree. I think Toprak is going to be up there pretty...
Straight away?
I think he's going to be good on that. I know we say every year this is BMW are going to do it, they're going to be up the front. They say it every year. They always seem to bring out a slightly new model every year. But I think Toprak knows something that we doesn't. I don't think he would have moved there knowing that bike, what it is at the moment. I don't think he would have gone there the way it is. So I think Toprak's going to be good on that bike. Yeah. Oh, we could be wrong. We could be right. But I think Toprak's going to be, on the podium first round, I'm going to say, on the BMW. Going back to Johnny, I think he's going to be... I think things have gone a bit stale, haven't they, for him and Kawasaki? Yeah. I think it kind of... He'd been with that team for a real long time, had loads of success with them, but it had gone a bit dry. Things hadn't been moving on anymore. The bike has kind of been the same for a really long time. So I think it's a nice new fresh start on the Yamaha. I think he's going to be closer to Bautista. But will he be able to beat Bautista? I think even with this weight limit thing being changed, I know we're not really going to know until we see it at the first round next season. But I don't think he will be able to beat Bautista. But it's really hard to say with these new rules coming out with a weight limit and that.
There's a lot of ifs.
Yes. Well, Superbikes next year, I think, is going to be brilliant to watch, just because the amount of rider changes and rule changes, it's going to be really good to watch.
Yeah, well, as much as I do like Jonathan Rea, and we love to see the Brits be successful anywhere, whether it's MotoGP 2 or 3 or World Superbikes or anywhere, really. Jonathan Rea is currently, I think he's 36 years old. If we're not talking about him winning a championship next year, then by the time he might probably be in a position where he's sort of got to grips with the package and the team and his new, bike and everything. He's going to be 38. And although 38 is no bad age, I'll tell you.
Bautista, he must be nearly 40 and he's winning the championship, isn't he?
Yeah, that's all because of his size, though. He's like that big, his size.
Bautista's only got a 1-year extension on the contract, and he sounds like he's definitely hinting at retirement. He thought about doing it actually next year, but it sounds like, I think Bautista might retire after next season anyway.
Once he doesn't get this MotoGP full-time contract that he's probably...
Yeah. He might do a Troy Bayliss and get that wild card and go out and win it. You never know.
Well, I think Jonathan Rea won't, but I would love to be proven wrong on that one. Yeah, so who knows? So anyway, we have run out of time on the show. Before we go, regarding World Superbikes at Jerez, the final round, I will tell you, courtesy of Kiko Giles, that the last 8 wins at Jerez from 2019 have came only from the first 2 positions on the grid. So qualifying...
What's that?
Will be critical, so keep your eye on that. Thank you, Kiko, for putting together. On the worldsuperbike.com, worldsbk.com, check it out. Loads of stats. Kiko loves his stats. And, check it out. Interesting stuff. It's a better website than MotoGP. Anyway, thank you very much, Sullivan, for coming on the show once again. And we'll love to see what happens next weekend with you and Evan as teammates, potentially. I don't know if that's definitely confirmed, but an interesting prospect. But thank you for coming on the show once again. Jay, thank you very much for, again, being here. Yeah. Stuff. Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm grateful that you arrived and stuff, and you're here. I'm
once again really sorry that Alonso Lopez crashed on the first corner.
We're trying to get him on the show. We're trying to...
he's being sympathetic.
Yeah.
And...
please come on.
So we can slag you off.
Have you got a message back from Iannone yet? Is he on next week?
I have not yet got a message back from Iannone or his representatives. So we'll just wait until we definitely know that he is ignoring us before we...
I've even bought some of his aftershave.
What, from the pound shop? No, outrageous to suggest that. Anyway, but Iannone has been invited onto the show, but I think he got... I don't know where he's in. Anyway, whatever.
Lost.
It's Thailand this weekend in MotoGP, Jerez in World Superbikes, and the Canadian GP in World Super X. Yes, that highly popular Super X championship. Anyway, but
we didn't mention the Sunflower race in Ireland, did we? Charlie Nesbitt won that.
Yeah,
that's it. It's pretty much.
And Lee Jackson was out in a hot race in Honda. Sounds like he's going to sign for them.
Yeah.
I'll be surprised if he didn't. But anyway, thank you all once again for all coming on the show. And that's just about it, really. Well, that definitely is it for tonight's show. We'll be back, I think, next week. I think we will. Sullivan, thank you very much for coming on the show again. And thank you. And good night.
No, thank you.
Bye.
This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation. Contact the show on Twitter, on Facebook, and on our website, Motorsport Radio.